This behind me is a 2003 Mark I Audi TT 225 Quattro. Well, the last bit goes without saying, all 225s were Quattros. I bought this recently on Cars and Bids from a very nice gentleman called Tom. And I didn't buy this one by accident. I'd been looking for this car for a while, and Julie was forewarned about it. I had one of these in the early 2000s when they came out, and I absolutely loved it. And this car gets a lot of criticism, and it's been called a hairdresser's car, which I think is a load of rubbish. It's a great little car. It's not an out-and-out sports car. It was revolutionary when it came out. The design is absolutely spectacular, and everybody, I think everybody knows about the concept car that was released at the 1995 Frankfurt Auto Show, and the production car came out a few years later in Europe, virtually identical to the concept car. I think the first model year in North America was 2000, and well, let's have a look at it. So in its original form, it was called the 225 because it had 225 horsepower, but that's metric horsepower. Most people assume it's 225 brake horsepower. It's 225 PS, which means it's 2 or 3 horsepower less than that in real money. And it produced 205 pound-feet of torque, which was very respectable. I mean, the car originally came out in a 180 horsepower version, which had the Quattro as an option. Only came with a stick shift, which is a great thing. The 180 horsepower had a 5-speed, the 225 has a 6-speed. They later came out with a V6, the VR6 engine, 3.2 litre, and that had one of the first DSG dual clutch transmissions in it. But this one's manual, and this one is in fantastic condition. Like I said, I bought it on Cars and Bids. I probably paid over the odds for it, but everything's been done on it. There's a long list of major service items. The major things that really attracted me was, one, the clutch was done at around 50,000. This car currently has just under 100,000 miles on it. So the clutch was done around 50,000 miles. The Haldex unit has been serviced, and it's got a new timing belt. Those were the key items for me. Also had new spark plugs not that long ago. So it's been very well looked after, and it's in fabulous condition. It's got a few dents and dings, as you'd expect from a 20-year-old car. The major one, which you can barely see, is here. It's been hit here, and there's a slight scuff there, and there's a couple of scuffs here on the door, but that's about it. The real highlight of this car is the inside. I mean, this thing is pretty much immaculate. I don't think that seat has been sat in. Quite an unusual color combination. My understanding is that this leather is called aniseed yellow, and the blue, which I think is an absolutely gorgeous blue, is Mauritius blue. So one of the plus points on this car is this center cluster has all its pixels. These cars are known for shedding pixels. Down here as well, this is actually a replacement radio, and it's got a 6 CD charger in the back. The design throughout the car is just beautiful. It's very simple, but it's got this circular theme going through all about it. So all these knobs have the same indentations on them. Even the gauges have these little indentations. The ventilation system is the same. The gear knob, the surround for the gear knob, the gas cap, everything, that everywhere where there is a circular element, it has these little dimples in. You could say they're kind of golf ball shapes. Even the steering wheel has it everywhere. So the design is very well tied together. One of the great things about this car is it's relatively sporty. Let's say it's a sporty GT or 2+2, but it's got a lot of trunk space. And when you put the seats down, there is a ton of room in there. Plenty of room for golf clubs. I remember getting all my hockey equipment in this, no problem at all. This is a very, very clean example. Now, this car comes with 2 seats in the back, and I'm going to try to see what it's like in the back. I remember my younger son, let me see, how old was he? He was 14, so he was probably already 6 foot at that point. He spent time in the back of one of these, and there's actually a warning inside the rear hatch to watch your head if you're a backseat passenger. So let's see if it is possible to get into this thing. So the seat the seat lifts up there. I'm not sure that this is going to happen. Nope. We have to move the seat forwards. So I've had to move the seat forwards to get in, and we will see what that does to the driving position. But now it looks like there's actually room to get in. So let's try it. So I have to have the camera up this close because I'm all squashed in here. It's a little tight in the back, shall we say, and as you can see, my head is hitting the glass. Look at where the passenger seat is, and look at my knees. I don't think you can actually shut the driver's door with me in here. Yes, you could fit somebody in the back, but they'd have to be lying down, and I'm not sure how you get them out again. That's what we're going to try now. So it's difficult while you're holding a camera. There we go. Right, so I've got the seat forward, and I think it's a matter of pushing your legs out and then the car giving birth to you. And then now let's look at the driver's seating position with somebody behind. It's a little snug. So I don't think I'll be taking any passengers in this car in the near future. Maybe the dogs could sit in the back, but those seats are so good, I don't think I want to do that. Oh, God. That is a more normal seating position, and there, as you can see, there's no room. Realistically, no room at all. This car isn't an out-and-out sports car. It shares its underpinnings with the Mark IV Golf, the new Beetle, the A3. So there's a lot of shared components, but the suspension is unique to this car. It's not just a Beetle with a different body. So even though there are a lot of shared components, from my understanding, each car was unique in terms of its handling characteristics, and this one handles very, very well. And there's a few items that need addressing on it. I've noticed that the front suspension, the strut bushings are worn. Those need replacing. There's a nasty clunk coming from the rear. Most importantly, I've been flashing the ECU. When I had this car in the early 2000s, I had it chipped, and it transformed the car in terms of performance. And when I got this one, it felt very, very strong. And I couldn't remember really what the change in performance was when I chipped the car, so I went ahead and invested in a Stage 1 Plus flash from Motosa Performance, and that's a flash that can be done remotely. You don't have to send the ECU off. And after we flashed it, it was pretty much the same, and I actually did log files prior to the flash and sent those off to Motosa, and they looked at it and said, yeah, this has got a Stage 1 tune on it. So it already had a Stage 1 tune, and I've replaced it with another Stage 1 tune. So we've been going back and forth on that for the last few days, and it's pretty much back to where it was at the moment. But all that to say is this car really pulls. It's got a ton of torque. With the Stage 1 Plus tune, they say they'll get it to 265 horsepower and 275 torques, which is pretty good, and it feels like it. And that's on 93 gas. Living in Arizona, we don't have 93, we only have 91. But it still pulls really, really well. So there you have it. That is my 2003 Audi TT in gorgeous blue color. I love this car, and this one is in such good shape. And quite honestly, I think these are going to take off in value, particularly ones that have been looked after. And this one has been very well looked after. Speaking to the previous owner, like I said, he's a very nice gentleman called Tom who has his own shop, and he's been servicing this car for years, and he liked it so much he bought it off the previous owner and has done a lot of work on it, which is why I say that all the major stuff has been done. There's just a few little things that need fixing. So Tom, thank you very much for looking after this car over the past few years. I feel like I'm very lucky to have this car. And out of all the cars that I've bought recently on auction, that makes it sound like a lot. There's only 4 of them. This is the best one.